on the rise in Nigeria. It's fast rising and it's really getting uncontrollable. We want to look at why this is so and the possible way out on the program this morning in the next 55 minutes. We have in the studio with us this morning the president of Abeokuta Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, Apeosima, Sir Jare Oshola. Good morning, Sir Oshola.
Good morning, sir.
Good to have you join us this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling me.
We also have with us this morning a small-scale industrialist and a public analyst too, Mr. Kunle Adekunle. He's also joining us this morning. Mr. Adekunle, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Sir Oshola, let's start from you. The statistics, recent one, that unemployment is really getting out of hand in Nigeria. How do you find this? What's your immediate reaction to the fact that, as one of the richest countries in the world, we still, have unemployment, fast rising?
Unemployment in Nigeria is a question of choice. We choose unemployment and we are getting it. Yes. How? First, we make policies, we don't implement it. We say things we don't want to do. We say we want to grow what we eat, yet we are importing so much meat. So if we are not growing what we eat, we are creating jobs for other countries. We award contracts to foreign contractors to construct road, to construct rail. Those are the things that will bring employment. Would you even want to build a factory? The Dangote refinery kept so many Indians in employment in Nigeria because we don't have welders, we don't have skilled labor that could do the things that are needed for the refinery to be.
We don't have welders or skilled labor, so we don't believe in them.
I am telling you, we don't even have skilled labor to build vegetable oil refinery. That's why you see people smuggling vegetable oil. We have palm kernel. We can produce palm kernel oil. We just need to refine it. And go and Google the price of a vegetable oil refinery. So many people can afford it. But when you want to now build your refinery, and you have to bring somebody from China, somebody from India to come and weld the refinery because you have no welders that are skilled in it, then how could we be talking of employment? We all know agric is the source of employment now. Yet in Yoruba land, we are still doing seasonal agric, which means for a good part of the time, our people are not employed, because we don't have dams that are in use. Or we have dams, we create the dams, we don't use them. We don't do irrigation. So we now take tomatoes and pepper from the north, which don't have so much rain, and have invested in dams. So it is a choice that our political leaders have chosen. I don't see any problem with employment in Nigeria. We need houses. We have deficit of houses. The state government is building only 2,500 houses. And to build it, they are shifting labor here and there. They don't have tilers. They don't have bricklayers and all this. So how will there be employment? And when we don't have those people, the money generated is taken back abroad. It cannot. So we have economic recession. So even if you produce, people don't have money to buy. So we are the cause of our unemployment. Actually, we don't even have a Ministry of Economic Development. When I came into Abeokuta in 1977, there was a Ministry of Economic Development. We don't talk of only budgets. We are talking of budget every time. We don't talk about economic development. If there is economic development, there will be synergy between the educational system and the economic development you want. If you want to build houses, then you train bricklayers.
Now what we have at the federal level, coordinating, they have a coordinator for economy, which also happens to be the Minister of Finance. Can't that suffice?
It is not. You see, I came into town in 1977 under a well-planned program. I went to school, I got free education in the university because they knew they wanted to start free education. So for you to be a teacher, you are given free education in the university. My parents could not afford some fees. So, and I'm brilliant enough, got admission to study education in the university and became a teacher. And within 3 years, I became a principal because it is already planned, it's programmed. I became a principal, worked for 10 years with government, left government, started my own business because technology came in. When I graduated as a teacher, I could make enough money to buy a car by marking West African School Certificate exam 3 or 4 times. I have enough money, 2005 or 2006, to buy a car just by marking school certs. So a teacher is not looked down on. Those were my times.
Is that what it is now?
That's not it.
That's not it. But you will see, that time, everything was done manually. So, by the time I spent 15 years in government and I retired, I went into IT. And we now started having a situation in which school cert registration is done online. So if you did not move with technology, then there will be no jobs for those who still want to be marking it, or they will be underpaid, or they will not be well paid. Then everything goes online. There was a time I was the only one registering everybody for school cert in the whole state. So technology plays a role. Then internet came. And when internet came, people were slow, they were not doing it. Now we're having electronic testing. All the universities are doing their exams online. So if you refuse to move with technology, then you don't have job to do.
Now we'll come to that as we progress in the conversation.
That's the way I see it.
He said something while he was talking.
Yeah.
That was the fact that we refuse to execute our plans. We have policies, and we refuse to execute our plans, our policies. Do you think we have policies? Do you think we have policies, and then the problem is implementing these policies?
I don't want to believe if you have a policy that is not working for you, then you don't have one. When we talk of, there are a lot of policies that have been put in place in this nation. In the early 80s, there was this policy made by Babangida then, when they said we should stop importation of wheat flour, that it should be replaced with cassava flour. I invested then. I invested a lot of money then. But I was supplying flour mills of Nigeria with cassava flour. And my tentacles were from Oshiele down to Olodo. I trained all the cassava processors along that route to produce cassava flour that would meet that standard. But one day, somebody just woke up and cancelled the whole thing.
Policies of ourselves.
Then who are the people that are making these policies? Academicians? Look, you have to, this is a time when we have to dissect what we want. If I want to make policy for those that are in the industry, you need someone that is knowledgeable and experienced. Those who know where the shoe pitches, they will be able to do it better. But you ask a technocrat to do something for someone on the field, it's not possible. There was a time when I was the state secretary for NASI, National Association of Small Scale Industrialists. They brought this policy for small scalers, and they put one accountant to be monitoring the programs for farmers and agro processors. They can't. What's the experience? Where is it coming from? You left those who are experienced. You see, there's no way you can't do without those who are on the field. So then I know they are deliberate, even policies. When they say the present crop of leaders we have in Nigeria are not sincere. Let's be frank. They are not sincere about developing this nation. They are not sincere. What's policy? For instance, about 2-3 months ago, the federal government of Nigeria said they reduced the import duty on Tokunbo cars. the automobile industry are complaining. If you want to, if you allow assembly plants to thrive in Nigeria, because when we were young, when I left secondary school, I worked at Cocoa Board. Along that route at Ikeja, we have Dunlop, we have Michelin, where is Isoglass. Those, for any automobile assembly plant to be in this country, about 16 companies will go along with it. Those who produce batteries, those who produce tires, those who produce brake parts, everything. But when a government will now tell you that they prefer to import used cars at the detriment of those who will produce here, then what we call multiplier effects. If one industry comes up and is taking a direct employment of 500, I bet you about other 200,000 people who benefit from. But this is a government that will deliberately say they want to do importation. So I don't believe this government is serious.
Is it about this government, Mr. Adekunle?
No, all governments. All of them.
Someone said something yesterday, jokingly. The person said, bring the brain of Obama, Clinton, Wole Soyinka, some of the greatest leaders we've seen in the world, bring their brains together, multiply them, you know, and put them, you know, in the heads of one person as Nigerian president, that the country will not move forward. You know, you don't think it's a systemic problem, or it's ethnic or political problem?
No, it's some problem. When I was, there was this song I sang for one of my friends. They said, "Gbogbo wa la lọ́wọ́ ńbẹ̀, gbogbo wa la lọ́wọ́ ńbẹ̀, bí Nàìjíríà ṣe dà yìí, gbogbo wa la lọ́wọ́ ńbẹ̀." While I was in the primary school, LCC primary school, Okesuna, we do technical. There are no technicians in Nigeria, none. When I first came to Abeokuta, 1980, we used to have one technical college at Diaba. We had, they are not doing anything. They are not doing anything. We used to have one at Ajinile. We have one at, they are not there. When you don't develop your technical capability, you are nowhere. Some weeks ago, I was hearing them debating in the House of Rep. Say HND, BSc. Look, if you continue to give preference to academicians over the technical people, you won't have it. You can't develop like that. Let them grow at their levels. Then you and I, majority of us, go to other developed nations. You have businesses that is being run by the 4th, 5th generations. It doesn't happen here. I'm still trying to convince my son to come and take over the business that is already built. They all want to do. Everything is not working. The religious people are not helping issues. All they preach is miracle. No more preaches hard work again.
Now we can say that all of this, just as Biodun said earlier on, is systemic.
Yes.
It's ingrained in the system.
I don't think it's just systemic. It is in us. It is for us to choose our leaders. The country gets the leaders it deserves. We choose our leaders by what we are giving, 2,000, 5,000 on polling day. And therefore we have solved our rights. If we start choosing our leaders by programs, not by political parties, by this person wants to execute this program, and we can hold him responsible, we can remove him there. Not that, let's say, we say even if 30% of those who voted for you recall you, you will go back. Those are the kind of things that we will be able to say, yes, we are going forward. Unless, because one is the politician who should have a vision. When the politicians don't have a vision, then we now come to our civil servants. And people will now say, they will now be bringing out books. We are talking of agric now. and somebody was bringing out books that some land were acquired for Ministry of Agri since 1945 by government. If the policy had been working, we will be having Fulani X-Men in a bush. But government does not release land easily to those who want to do large-scale farming, which is what we need. They give impossible policies. They say you must do this, do that. Then the place becomes forest. Some people get it for free. You who wants to do genuine business, large-scale farming, you cannot get it. And there is conflict. All these things leads to the conflict that is causing crimes in the society. When we are talking of unemployment, we are talking of how many people are able to get stable 40-hour-a-week job. When we look at our streets and see people roaming about, we know that not many people are getting 40-hour-a-week job. And if you look at today's papers, only 7 companies are controlling 77% of the stock exchange.
Yes, that's the truth.
And just like he said, if other 20, 30 companies have been developed to be in, these people controlling, employing people. So we have gone from a stage where we have well over 50, 100 companies controlling the stock exchange to only 7. So only 7 preferred people, which we can name, and we know their pedigree. They are called the richest people in Africa and co. Some of us have no respect for them. They haven't done anything. They can not say they have contributed this to the society. Even our jobs, they have taken out. So if we don't have people on the stock exchange, then how do we think our economy is developing? If our economy is not developing, then there will be no jobs. Then there will be no purchasing power. Even when you produce, nobody will have the money to buy. So this is a cycle that must be broken. And it must be broken by implementation of policies. I happen to be an educationist. And when I was in IFE 72 to 76, this 6334 was developed. The bedrock was to develop technical education. So that we don't have technical education only in technical colleges, that even secondary schools will have technical education. But how is it implemented? Our parents, I was a principal, when parents would say, I'm a technical, when we divide school to science, technical, and commercial. So all of us want our children to be doctors. We don't even look at the talents the children have. Whereas in other countries, even if you want to do anything, it is ensured that you must have skill. And why I said we have policies that in WAEC, when people are doing WAEC now, they must do vocational subjects. It's a policy. But are they implementing it? People will just say, they are doing tying and dyeing in the school, and they will not do any tie and dye. They just go and buy something in the market. They have no person teaching the students tie and dye. So we refuse to implement the good policies we have because we want to be, some people to have some advantage. I don't see, for all the time we have had education in this country, for us to need Chinese to build bridges for us. We should have somebody somewhere who have learned it, either from Russia.
The truth is that we have this.
We
have them. That's the truth. But those who are in authority are not ready to make use of what we have. There are a lot of Nigerians, young men, brilliant. The only thing is they are not given the opportunity to showcase their capability. We believe in importing and importing and importing. So when you have such,
how expensive really is it to invest in or to create or establish or manufacture from within, rather than relying, depending on imported goods or products?
I was taking some students on entrepreneurship. When you go out and you tell them you want to start a business on your own, these are the things you need to prepare, the first thing any of these young men will tell you is, Daddy, I don't have money. No, that is not the starting point. That is not the starting point. Do you have the capability? Do you have the interest? Do you have the flair for that thing? If you don't have the flair, if you don't have the capability, no matter the money, then majority of the youth, even the adults too, have no integrity. May I tell people integrity is capital. I've assisted people to start their businesses without spending a kobo. What does it cost me? I say, this, my friend here, has a factory, he produces a particular product, and I say, oh mommy, one of my children will come, please, you can still give him something up to ₦1 million. I guarantee him. The boy goes there, and he performs very well. He's giving the goods, he sells, bring back. But can you shorty any of these young ones again? Those of us that are in private business, the greatest problem we have with these children is stealing. Come, I'll get to my bakery, 6 a.m. I don't leave there until 11. Why? Because every opportunity they want to steal. And my colleagues will tell me, look, I prefer to put my money in the bank. He said, one of them said, you are only wasting your time. I don't have any child in school again. I have a place where I live. I better be eating than to go and invest. Most of these boys are not ready to do anything. They are only out to rip you up. So the society is so corrupt. The politicians are corrupt. There's no value for education. There's no value for hard work. In the church,
isn't politics the bane? Over the years, in the 80s, growing up too, we were mentioning those in authority. Those who are saying those in authority are not doing anything are the ones that we find in corridors of power today. And they're doing the same thing that those they were accusing of not doing anything then. They're doing the same thing. So you don't think politics has been the bane for us over the years?
When you look at Nigerian politics, let's be frank. If you are hungry, immediately hunger sets in, your senses close up. Majority of those that are in the corridor of Father, go to the streets. I told some people, have you moved from Yano Mortuary to those who are making money now are the motorbike boys, no, the touts, not those who are riding the Okadas, the touts.
Giving out tickets.
Giving out tickets. There's no dignity. Then we tell one young man said he went to Mani, a young boy was reported. He is not doing anything, he's just roaming about the street. Please, and said, Mufu, that is okay. No, those of you that are working, because they are seeing those who just wake up, stay on the streets, yes, and the politicians make their bitch. And let me tell you, you cannot confront them. If you confront them, if one big politician, you see, there are all these things patched. Nobody is encouraged to do the rest. Security-wise, if you are moving your goods from Abeokuta to Lagos, how many checkpoints? Extortion on the road. The other time people said they should not bring goods from the north to the south. They were not saying it was not purely ethnic. No. What those people were complaining of before, from Maiduguri or from Kano to Lagos, if they are to bring their goods, they spend about between 50 and 300,000 to clear the boys on the road. Then what are we saying?
And so where's the profit?
Where's the profit? Infrastructure? No electricity? I run my bakery on diesel. What does it cost anybody in government to make electricity? Majority of those Okada boys are welders. They are artisans.
Which is why I said, isn't it political? Before this current federal government came into office, they came with so much promises, and they said they will fix electricity in 6 months. I remember quoting Raji Fashola saying that any serious government will
fix electricity
in 6 months. And here we are. Sorry, Shola.
Actually, like I always say that one of the things that happen is that we leave our leaders when they get there. As the president of Chamber of Commerce, I have taken up the responsibility of questioning these politicians. And I see that when you confront them, they are ready to listen. I came on a program and I talked about this border closure. We went straight to our senator and we talked about it. He raised it at the National Assembly, and gradually the borders are being opened. Some of us are too timid to confront our governor. Tell your governor is not doing right. He cannot kill you, especially if he's not feeding you, if you are not a civil servant. But what we have is that is the civil servants too that will misadvise them, that will bring policies that maybe worked 40 years ago, and they will go to their files and be saying we should still be doing what we are doing 40 years ago.
But I could be advised, and I refuse to take the advice.
Yes, that's if you have a vision.
And that comes with leadership too.
Yes, so that's why I said start with politicians having a vision, then you will execute your vision. And whenever had a vision, he executed it. I don't think free education is a vision we should still be talking about in the Western region. Except politics. Because most of us already know the value of education. Go and look. Most of the children, the good percentage of children in Ogun State primary schools are in private schools. So it is not the public schools that determines what happens in Ogun State education. Both the greater percentage of nursery primary schools and gradually now into secondary schools. And you can see the number of private universities we have in Ogun State, more than 13. So it's not that government schools, when it comes to education, so government should be particular about saying this is what we need. We need technical education is not what people could go into easily. So, but I have found out that, for example, when I was on the board for technical and vocational education, we got grants to build the technical school. We built the laboratories. But people appear to be after just building. They don't know that building is not technical education. No. Buying equipment is not technical education. It's actually empowering people, imparting the knowledge, imparting the skills. And for you to make people stay on those jobs, you can't put them on level. Because I know anybody that went to the mechanic village, studied automotive engineering, technician, whatever you call it, if you learn a skill in the mechanic village, within 10 years you will build a house. I can't guarantee that for a civil servant.
Some people will say the federal government is just appearing in abstract. Because structurally too, we are also deficient. So much advocacy have been done for fiscal federalism. The states are powerless. They can't go to certain areas. They can't. They can't touch some untouchables for state governments. So, and that, seems to have disempowered the state governors and the state governments to create jobs, to stimulate jobs. What do you think about this?
To an extent, they could be right. The constitution we are operating presently in Nigeria is not helping us. When you put all the resources together and one giant just takes it and they don't have a plan for it, if they allow the resources as it was in the First Republic, the regions will have their resources, they use it to develop and pay taxes to the federal government. That will work. But the truth of the matter is, even the little ones that we have, people are not making good use of it. It's only in this country I've found people talking about agriculture and they are not doing anything about it. We can still make so much money and create employment through agriculture. 1987, there was this man at Ogadeb then, one Dr. Ulunuga. I think, yeah. He did something there. They called it contract farming. I just showed interest. Do you know what he did? He gathered some of us that are graduates and told us, I want you to give me 10 tons of maize. I said, what do you want to use it to? Say, we are going to use it as seeds. They cleared the land, gave us the inputs we had to use, and from the beginning we did the calculation. Say, if you give me 10 tons, again I think it was 350,000 for the 10 tons. From the beginning we knew how much we are going. For 4 months, I had my farm at Ishagaurile then. We supervised it. At the end of the 4th month, they did the harvesting themselves. We did the calculation there. They deducted the cost of the inputs given to us. The next day they wrote our check for us. So all of these youths outside, the only language they understand is money.
But isn't that integrity too? I mean, the man called you with all sense of sincerity, told you what to do, and the following day, they wrote you a check. We don't have that anymore.
Because those people that are in authority, let me, with all modesty, majority, some of the people we call civil servants, I don't want to use unpalatable language on here. They are not helping this nation. They know what is right to do, but they are not doing it. That was a man that single. Immediately that man left office. The person that took over cancelled that program. There are grants that comes, international grants. There are loans. The other time, they were saying they were asking graduates that are interested in setting up this company. We went to the ministry. You and behold, they said the form was finished. The second day. Then I consulted them. This announcement, you made this announcement yesterday. My son is not here, but I came. They said it's finished. Do you know what? The forms were given to politicians. Those who don't have anything to do with that line of business.
Does that not go back to leadership, Mr. Shala?
Yes, that's why, to an extent, I think we lay too much emphasis on the federal government. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not concerned with federal government. Our internally generated revenue will be sufficient for us in Ogun State if we manage ourselves properly. We can forget Lagos State forgot federal government when Obasanjo was there, and they did super well, and they are still doing well. So we can do. Federal government does not come and collect our internally generated revenue. So I believe if we are serious and we take on our leaders in the states, our commissioners, our local government chairmen, senior civil servants, and for it to be effective, there have to be some guidelines. Like, if we want to improve our education, let no commissioner of education come and tell us his children are in schools abroad. Let no permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education have any child in school abroad. Let them ask their children in public school. Our children went to Methodist primary school at Beni, Ibadan.
But some people also say it's a question of choice, that if I'm commissioner, sitting commissioner, I could also choose to send my kids to.
You could choose not to be a commissioner. Let's make it a commissioner, you're a public officer. You could choose not to. I'm not saying they should dictate for me as a businessman. I made my money, I can decide. But if I choose to succumb myself to say that I want to be a commissioner, then there should be rules. If I want to be a commissioner in the Ministry of Agri, then what have I done in Agri before? If I want to, they say they create Department of Employment Generation. Are the people in there, have they created employment before? Or you don't bring some politicians here and there and they say, yes, we have created the department, then they should create jobs. They don't even know what to do.
Let us look at the place, the population or the role the population will play in all of this? Some people have also said that because of the increase in population, that is why we are having increase in unemployment level. Now, do you think that the population should be an advantage or should be a disadvantage?
Depending on how we manage it. Let's look at population. In Ogun State, you see, that's why I don't like talking about national. If you are talking of where they are having as many wives as possible, as many children as possible, and they are marriages, that's a problem for them. But in Ogun State, our people are not, statistically, most of them, the average family population in Ogun State is not really much. It's still single digits. It's not double digits. And therefore, the population growth rates in Lagos and Ogun State are manageable for development. But because that growth rate is less than the inflation rate, is less than the improvement we have in our GDP, it's manageable. But when you look at Nigeria, we can be talking of the issue of population. Almanjeris have been created that never went to school, that had no productivity, and things like that. But on the average, those in our own state have some level of reading and writing. And when we look at it, go to our mechanic villages, go to our bricklayers. They are doing well. There is no one who is a bricklayer that have got the skills for 10 years, he will not build a house, which you cannot guarantee, even for a senior civil servant, on his bills, if he's not getting kickback. But all the boys in the mechanic village, in the bricklayers, the tilers, and that's why you are gradually having graduates going into these skills. When the Chinese came and we talked to the then governor that why should our people not be working, they employed some young graduates to be iron benders. Those graduates are now doing great works.
Even let's come home. Majority of us parents are not helping issues. We want our kids to be professors, doctors,
to do white collar jobs.
To do white collar jobs that are not there. I told my children, look, they are graduates. You must know what to do. This clothes I'm putting on was made by my son. It's a master degree that was made by my son. This shoe I'm putting on was made by my son.
Another one?
No, the same one.
He does clothes and shoes?
No, he does clothes. He's a master degree holder.
Multi-talented.
No,
and he studied what in school?
He studied criminology.
Wow.
My daughter produces something. She has a factory in my house. You must do something. The white collar jobs are not just there. People, you see, when we were growing up, when I graduated in 1986, I made up my mind I've never been in paid employment, except the one I did before I got to the university. I've never.
Now, would you say that having a son who studied criminology up to master's level, and then he now finds himself in fashion, doing clothes and shoes, would you say the years he spent in higher institution are wasted?
No. Come and see the way he does it. You see, when you are educated, when you have the basic education, the way you do your business differs. Let me give you this. The treasurer of my church is a chartered accountant. But do you know what he does now? He sells gari. He exports gari. And he makes so much. You see, I don't know what people are tagged into these heads in Nigeria. Yeah. If you don't put on tie, and be a civil servant? No! You see, things have changed. Those who are making money right now are those who are doing production of services, those who are on their own. The other one the other child of mine, she sells all her products online. You just see one Okada man will come and say, what is this one? Say, the one is going to supply, I have a client who wants my product in Port Harcourt. The Okada man will take it to the park. They have everything at their disposal. The internet is there, they use it. But what we are creating more problem. The religious leaders, the traditional, they don't reward hard work again.
Now, let us look at some of the interventions of the government. I think previous administration, I think Jonathan, he came up with Shopee. This present administration came up with Empower Agro, Empower Teaching, Empower, all of those different sectors. And then there is also the 774,000 jobs, which it's in, is the new thing now.
It has not taken off.
Okay, we can actually take off.
It has not taken off.
Even if it takes off, it's just money for the boys.
Now let us look at all of these interventions of the government. Do you think it's sustainable? Do you think it's a way to go, really, to address this issue of unemployment?
Let me come up with this. This Empower thing, I don't believe in it. But there's a particular program that the federal government have come, the Bank of Industry, EU, and the Bank of Agric. They are doing fine. The only thing is they need to relax some of the conditions. I read through that of the Bank of Industry. You need, if you are not taking up to 10 million, you need 2 senior civil servants to guarantee you. If you are using a rented apartment, you need a letter from the landlord that he will not evict you in the next 7 years, the duration of paying. Then these conditions, if they can relax, those ones are working. And the truth of the matter is some people are actually assessing it, but they are not assessing it down south here. They are only assessing it up north, because the conditions up north are not so stringent as the one we have now. The people here will tell you it must be done this way, this way, this way. Those two programs, if it is allowed to flourish, those two ones, but giving 20,000 to a graduate for a month, look, go and see, you are living at Obantoko, you have to do your empire at Onukolobo, and you are giving 20,000. Calculate how much that person will spend on transportation.
Now, Sir Oyeshola, he said something about the conditions, different conditions up north, and then from the one down south. As president of Abel-Sima, how true is this, and should that really be the standard?
It's very true. The civil servant in the north is different from the civil servant in the south. The politician in the north is different from the politician in the south.
So we are one Nigeria.
We are supposed to. And I took it up with the senator representing Ogun Central, that in the north people are getting this money and that, and they were being guaranteed by their senators and co. And his reply to me is that he cannot guarantee our youths because they will just disappear into the thin air. Whereas in the north, their emirs, their seniors guarantee them, and they do stay. And I tried it in my church. Parents cannot guarantee their children, because a lot of children in the south do not even listen to parents' advice.
Let me give you this example. I want to employ in my place, I ask them to get guarantors. And I prefer probably your parents. One day was there, and I called his father. I said, your boy is here, I want to give him employment, etc. Are you the father? He said, yes. Then I said, can you guarantee him? He said, before you will answer my question, said, will he be touching money? I said, definitely. He's going to, we'll give him a car to sell a product. So if he's touching money, I'm not guaranteeing him. It was on speaker. the boy had his father very well. But if you can give him any other job that he will not be in contact with money, I think I can still manage to guarantee. So the father, it was the father.
Now, on the surface level, we have youths from this side of the country doing well than their counterparts up north. So why do we have issues like this coming up against these same people who...
What we are talking about is issue of integrity. they have the knowledge, but do they have the integrity? Let's put it, even to the churches, we are complaining about them. Many of these churches have millions and billions of naira. Can they find integritable people within their church to empower, and they will trust the church money to? A lot of us, because we have no respect for hard labor, we just get money and spend it and blow it like Yahoo boys do. Because when you people get money easily, they just spend it recklessly. I think one of the things I will like to recommend, my partner did not work in civil service. I came into civil service, worked for 15 years and left. And I can say that the civil service shaped me in that I can do personal budget and expenses. I know I won't get money until the beginning of next month. So I learned to manage. I think because of that, I would rather prefer, they say that everybody that has spent 15 years in the civil service should retire. Allow the young people to come in. Let them be getting money, let them be getting the small salary for the next 15 years. They will have been trained, then you can empower them. Empower the senior civil service.
Like national service.
No, not national service. Empower the senior civil servants with their gratuity. They have learned to manage personal finance. Gratuity, get 15 million, start a small scale industry.
That doesn't also come in. That doesn't also come as a when gratuity. Come. Gratuities.
Yes.
You mentioned gratuities.
Yes.
I mean, they don't also come as and when due too. It's only recently that I think a few days ago, the current government in the state, paid some 500 million naira, brought out that much, and started paying some people. You don't think that's also another big issue? It
is, because the gratuity could be an employment creation capital.
I tell people, those who care to listen, including you, I tell them, whatever business you do after retirement, start it before. Because someone stay 35 years in service. By the time you are retired, and most of them will even change their age. By the time they are getting out of government, they are useless. What business will you do at 65? What strength do you have at 65? 60, 65. Look, the truth of the matter is, let people get out of the civil service at 50. You can still contribute
to the economy.
And you know the mistake most of them, when you get used to the civil service, those of us that are, do you know what they do? Immediately they get out of service, when they want to start, the way they were doing in their office, they will buy big chairs like this, they will buy big tables, they will start to, before they know it, all their gratuity is gone to my experience.
We are closing very soon. Let me take this one, because some people are watching us and they are also contributing. Adeniga Sheson says, people, especially those with money, should look inward. We should think deeply inward. Look at the picture below. Our own Zobo drink being packaged in Canada. Yeah. Imagine the jobs this could have created for our people if we had thought of this earlier. Zobo now being packaged in Canada.
To say we did not think of it is to lie.
It's a lie.
Even the Zobo that is being packaged in Canada is coming from maybe Maiduguri. The cost of transportation from Maiduguri to Ogun State is enough. We can be planting Zobo and be creating Zobo in Ogun State and be exporting it. And it's used in making ice cream even in France. We are aware. We can be exporting finished products. But it must be a government policy.
Who will change our...
the president of Tanzania, who died easily, he said we are no longer exporting raw materials. We want to export finished products. Government gives that focus, people follow, and things go.
All of these things we have actually spoken about this morning, Sir Ishola and Mr. Adekunle, they've also bordered on values, moral values too.
Essentially.
Who will change? What kind of leadership will change our moral value system?
I think the leadership that will change our moral value should start from home. Let's be sincere. Majority of parents are not helping issues. Most of us are always after finished you're putting on suits, how long have you bought handmade suits? When you say you want to buy Italian, all of you will be talking about Italian suits, Italian this. You see the mentality. Our government officials are all riding Toyota. The last time I had that man, the owner of Innocent,
Yeah.
some people were abusing him. I said, are these people crazy? If you allow this man to sell his product for only government agencies alone, do you know how far it will go? Do you know how many people will be empowered directly and indirectly? If one person is empowered directly, 20 people will be empowered indirectly through that one person. The government is not, they are not buying anything from him. They are importing everything. Do you know the import shares? Even shares for schools? Your senators are importing cars, they are importing furniture, and you are talking of growing the economy?
Which is why I said moral value change, from leadership. Because if Mr. President does not believe in innocent motors, then certainly the Vice President, Senate President, National Assembly will not also believe in their innocent made motors or vehicles. We don't think so. Sorry, Shola.
That's the issue. That's why I said our leaders must have vision. Let us not vote in anybody on political party vision. That has failed us. Let us not vote anybody because he's from this tribe or something. That has failed us. Let people come and say, this is what. You see, the small thing I have seen in Ogun State, I don't concern myself with Nigeria seriously. In Ogun State, when we had an engineer and he built a road, we saw the road. When we had an accountant, he is what I will call generating fund. He increased the internally generated revenue. Now we are having somebody who did economics, who is talking of housing development and knows that he needs, he said he wanted to build about 2,500 houses, but our housing deficit could be 50,000. But he himself said there are no bricklayers. So why don't we go change our education system to produce those bricklayers?
Do you know
you can do it in 6 months.
Yes.
And instead of targeting 2,500 houses, you could target 50,000 houses, and that will have empowered a lot of people. Because people need houses, people are ready to use a third of their salary for houses. There could be housing cooperatives. These are ways by which we could develop. And so we're just hoping this vocational education development really grows out. Because there are countries which you don't have a degree unless you have a skill. So when Chinese were going to US, they ensured that every Chinese has a skill. He's not going to US with his certificate, but a skill of what he can do. When Indians were going to US, they ensured that they had a skill. They don't go and present certificates in US, but we want our children to go and present a certificate in UK, in US. Yet, since they don't have skills, they end up sweeping floor.
Now,
washing dead bodies. So if they have skills, the skills will be useful, and they will have been making much more money. But I'm saying that with those our children abroad, we still have a lot of money coming into Nigeria from diaspora funds. But if they have been skilled, we could have got better things.
Now, in turning around the narratives of unemployment in the country, we have opportunities in agriculture, opportunities also in textile industry. Now, what should we really be doing differently to see that we create opportunities, we make good use of these opportunities in these two major areas of our lives?
Agriculture first, please.
Okay, you talk agriculture. Talk of cotton. I am interested in the cotton part.
Agriculture, security.
That's what we need.
I have my younger brother, when he retired, put all his money into agric. But do you know he was sacked from his farm of 200 acres by Fulani herdsmen? When he was proving stubborn, he went to the state, he was kidnapped. Presently, he's not going to that farm again. He invested all his life savings in that farm. And I can tell you, I have a list of those who left their farms, poultry farmers, crop farmers. If you don't tackle this issue of security now, most people are not going to farms again. A lot of people are abandoning their farms. It's as serious as that. The man that challenged them, a brother that challenged them, was kidnapped. I'm saying it on here. I paid ransom. He was kidnapped by the same set of Fulani people.
You paid ransom?
I paid ransom. I paid ransom.
Maybe because you didn't involve the police.
The records are there. The records are there. I paid ransom. A set of people, they're all graduates. They left the farm. In that Aziz, about 3,500 people lost their jobs. They've lost their investment. Who will now come and invest in agriculture? Presently, nobody is investing in agriculture again.
Like the one that was killed in Gongon, who came from
overseas. So if we want investment in agriculture, let's go and sort out the security issues. It's very, very important. Agric is not done in town. It's only the agro. It's not done in town. It's done in farms. Our farms are not secure.
I agree with him, and I think that's why I said we should look inwards. As early as the 1940s, they said they are grazing reserves. They are grazing routes. What policies have our Yoruba statesmen made about Farmers Protection Act? Do we have Farmland Protection Act? What laws have they made? What some of our farmers in Newdawn, we are representative of commerce having a farm, are saying that they are afraid of government. It's not that they cannot handle the full arrangement. They are afraid of government, who will come and arrest them after they have dealt with them. Our farmers are not afraid of them. They are really afraid of government. So I expect that in Ogun State, stop talking about X-Men. Stop talking about Fulani X-Men. Let's look at Farmers Protection Act. Let our assembly say, okay, you farmers, what do you need to be protected? Let's draw laws. If anybody comes to your farm, if he has a AK-47, you are entitled to kill him. Then it will be one for one. Don't let us allow people to, people just allow you to think their way. Don't think their way. Think your own way. Think of protecting your people. Let's have acts that will protect our farmers on their farm. Let them have rights. Let nobody come and say that our grazing route passes through your land, so we have a right. So these are things the State House of Assembly must pick up. What are Farmland Protection Acts? People are saying they should build Ruga. What are you talking about doing large-scale farming? What guarantees are you giving those who will be laborers there? There is nothing wrong with a state government saying that I want all these youths to go for farm. I guarantee you the minimum wage, and we give you this land, we give you this inputs, and you do it.
What if we nationalize or we regionalize that too? Because if Ogun State does that, Farmland Protection Act,
yes,
and Ogun State does not do it, some of those who invade farms will, out of frustration, will leave Oyo State and come to Ogun State. And so I believe that all the states have to.
We don't need all the states. Let's do our own. When our own is working, so people will copy us. When the internally generated revenue of Lagos is picking up, we will copy so
many things there.
Many things. And our internally generated, we are number 5 or something in Nigeria, despite the fact that we are not an oil producing state. In internally generated revenue. And before you know it, we can cut ourselves to size. Let our civil servants not be up to our internally generated revenue. Let us use some of our money to do things that will be economic development oriented, which is what you asked me about cutting. We wear clothes. I'm telling you, kakaki, táwọn bàbá wa wọ̀, there's no difference between it and jeans. So we can produce clothes that can be taken to farm, because they are the jeans we talk about are really farm clothes, yes. And there is a big export market for it. So if we grow cotton in Ogun State, it's harvested and it gets into the loom and it's made into clothing by our people, and it's even just making it uniforms, we create a lot of wealth. You can imagine when we have 1 million children in primary and secondary schools in Ogun State. Look at their uniform, their school wear, their sports wear, their home wear. It's a lot of economy. If we are now talking of from cotton to the clothes, not just the clothes, to the designer who is sewing it, a lot of jobs will have been created. So that cotton area is one area which we have advantage in Ogun State, and I think we should really look into creating an industry from it. Not just one, but cottage industries in various spots producing these clothes. That's what Ade-Ekiti, there was in the western region, there was a textile mill in Ade-Ekiti and all those things. But I think Ayewaland is very good in it. I saw it on television. Cotton is being harvested in Ogun State, courtesy some of the development, but we could have more of it. And all these ones that are produced are not yet, because if we have a textile mill in Ogun State demanding the cotton and guaranteed price, we have development. We have development.
Let me, on a personal note, Mr. Adekule, you run a bakery in Abeokuta, and then we've seen a whole lot of modern bakeries, come up now in Ogun State. How much of contribution has that done to employment in Ogun State?
It created a lot of employment. In the past, I think in the past 2 to 3 years now, a lot of bakeries are springing up in Abeokuta. And before then, people were bringing bread from outside Abeokuta. I was a distributor before I started my own bakery. But now, things are shifting. You see, technology, the present technology, what we now have is what we call small-sized bakeries that serves your immediate environment. See, before if you want to put up a modern bakery, you need hundreds of millions. But what we now have as suburb bakeries, if you notice in Abeokuta, you have bakeries that are not too big. They give you fresh bread within a particular environment. But if your quality is good, people can come from other suburbs.
Yeah, that's true. You can come from as far as to buy bread in Abiola Way.
No, they do. So you see, things are moving.
Yeah, things are moving.
Let me just be sincere with us.
Yeah.
We have youths that are ready to work. And like I said, our parents should actually encourage their children to start thinking of doing their own business. Churches should know down on miracle and talk of hard work. And the traditionalists too, please encourage hard-working people, not the Yahoo boys or
money making.
Not making noise.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on this program. It's been very, very interesting having you, Mr. Kunle Adekule, a small-scale industrialist. Thank you so much for your contributions.
Thank you.
Sir Dario Shora, President of Apelsima, we also thank you so much for your contributions. Okay, we will take a break now. When we return, we'll be also talking business, because we are also counting down to the 10th Gateway International Trade Fair. We want to talk about it in the next 20 minutes. Stay with us.